broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. Tim McCarver is coming right up. The mission for the Detroit Tigers is easy to understand. They've got to try and win tonight, get the series back to Motown, win 3 in a row, something they accomplished 14 times during the season and postseason combined. For the Cardinals, nobody thought, even at the beginning of the playoffs, they would be in this position this early. A chance to win their first championship in 24 years. And tonight they've got Jeff Weaver on the mound against Justin Verlander. And Tim McCarver, let's talk about the Cardinals. A lot has been made about the breaks that they've gotten. Granderson slipping last night, one of the examples, the errors by the pitchers. But when they have had opportunities, these Cardinals have made the most of those chances.
Yeah, Joe, every good story needs a good beginning, middle, and end. And what a story David Eckstein presented to a national audience last night. In the third inning, with the Cardinals trailing 3-0, Eckstein drives in the first Cardinal run of the night. In the seventh inning, an overthrow by Fernando Rodney, who's on third, could come home to score the tying run, but David Eckstein, and he wins it for the Cardinals with this double in the eighth inning. And I think it shows you once again how a player can turn around his World Series with one game, and that's what the Tigers, Jim Leyland, is hoping for tonight from anybody.
Yeah, and the deal with the Detroit Tigers, we came in last night talking about 3 guys that combined 0 for 34. Now tonight there are a couple guys on that list. Placido Polanco is still on the list and still hitless so far in this series, and their cleanup hitter, Tim, Maglio Ordonez, has just 2 hits.
Jim Leyland telling us that you can overcome your mistakes by swinging the bats, and that's what the Tigers hope to do tonight.
A couple of guys with sore left shoulders carried the Cardinals last night with the sticks. You know their names. We've already talked about David Eckstein. Scott Rowland is the other. So much happened in Game 4 last night, including the slip by Granderson in center, the overthrow at first, and the near catch by Monroe. Now it's Game 5. It's yours next on Fox. Covers the field, and here's a look at the Cardinals defensively behind Jeff Weaver. So Taguchi gets the start in left, Edmonds in center, Chris Duncan in right, with Roland, Eckstein, Belliard, and Pujols around the infield. Yadier Molina does the catching. Strike 1 on Granderson up there ready to rip. Only 2 for his last 23. Covering 6 games and 1 for 18 in this World Series.
And 0 for 3 against Jeff Weaver in Game 2.
One ball, 1 strike. Imagine the nerves bouncing around in the belly of Jeff Weaver getting the start against the team that drafted him. A chance to wrap up the World Series and give the Cardinals their 10th World Championship here tonight and try to avoid having this series head back to Comerica Park.
Just think of how many pitchers in baseball would love to have this opportunity with their team 3-1 up in the World Series starting tonight.
Learn more about this Cardinal right-hander, the 30-year-old 6'5", 200-pounder Jeff Weaver.
That first point we've talked about in all of his postseason starts. When the arm is up, that's the arm angle he wants. Improvement under Dave Duncan, and he's working on the normal 4 days rest.
A strikeout of Granderson to start the night for Weaver.
You can see Molina setting up high around the letters. That's where the pitch is. And Granderson, who led the American League in strikeouts this year, is the first victim of Weaver.
Now it's Monroe who took Weaver deep in game number 2. Strike 1. Craig is 3 out of 16. His 2 home runs coming. One in game 1 at the end of it, and the other one in the first of game 2. That gave Kenny Rogers all he would need as Rogers and Todd Jones combined for the victory. Rogers did the tough part with his 8 shutout innings. If there is a game 6 tomorrow night in Detroit, Anthony Reyes would take on Kenny Rogers. Ball 2. It is Weaver and Verlander tonight. Monroe up with Guillen on deck.
One thing is pretty clear. When you're facing elimination in a World Series, it's very difficult to sit down in the dugout. Almost all the Tigers, and really for that matter, all the Cardinals standing.
Monroe checked it. It's a full count. That Monroe did not offer it that pitch, and now 2 out.
In the early going, Weaver appears to have a sharp slider. So you got Granderson on the fastball and Monroe on the slider. Slider from a right-hander sliding away from a right-handed batter.
The story with Weaver is something that, if you're not familiar with it, just checking him out for the first time, as he makes this Game 5 start and now deals with Carlos Guillen. I mentioned he was drafted by Detroit, came up in '99. In '02, he was traded to the Yankees just after signing a 4-year, $22 million deal, and he had a year plus. Not a whole lot of fun with New York. He leaves New York. He has 2 years with the Dodgers, goes 27 and 24, signs a 1-year deal this year with the Angels, goes 3 and 10. And to make room for his younger brother Jerry to come up and pitch, the Angels cut him loose. Now he's in St. Louis. Now he's through 1/2 inning. There is no score in Game 5 with the Cardinals up 3-1. Bank of America, David Eckstein, the star last night, leads it off, and Chris Duncan back-to-back starts. He's in right. Pujols hitting third. Edmonds cleans up. Bolin batting fifth. Belliard back in the lineup. Yadier Molina. So Taguchi gets the start in left, and the pitcher, Jeff Weaver, as Justin Verlander, the 23-year-old rookie right-hander, makes the start here in Game 5, trying to get the series back to Detroit. Blistering fastball for strike one, and it was the velocity, or the atypical velocity for Verlander, that caught the attention of the Tigers back in Game 1 when he hooked up against Anthony Reyes.
Instead of his normal 95, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, Jim Leyland and the Tigers saw an 88 and 89-mile-an-hour fastball.
There's 94 from the right-hander, and he's behind on the count to Eckstein, 2-1.
Justin trying to turn that apprehension into positive energy for the Tigers.
Eckstein hits it in the air to left field, and easy for Monroe. 1 away. Take a look at the defense. State Farm covers the field. The Tigers defensively have Monroe in left. In center, it's Granderson. In right, it's Maglio Ordonez. Around the infield, Inge, Guillen, Polanco, and Casey. And the 4 errors by the pitching staff in the World Series is the most in World Series history. Just so you know, in his career, Verlander has committed 4 errors. Here's Chris Duncan. 1 out, nobody on. 2 rookies hooking up, and that's low for ball 1. The likely American League Rookie of the Year, Verlander, deals, and it's 2-0. Verlander looks like he is going 100 miles an hour out there. He was working with a fast pace in Game 1. He's right back at it here in Game 5. He's 3-0.
And he works very quickly normally. The one thing from a catcher's standpoint that you can do is you can slow him down. Justin, take a step back, says Pudge Rodriguez.
3-1. Eckstein fly to left. Duncan is trying to get on in front of Pujols, who has only 2 hits in this World Series. That is foul. Verlander does not get the call, 1-on, 1-out. And our MasterCard keys to the game.
A lot of ways to put it, but what the Tigers will attempt to do is to have 3 one-game winning streaks. For the Cardinals, they want to get it done in front of this very, very faithful following here in St. Louis.
Pujols now, I mentioned only 2 hits in this World Series for the Cardinal MVP. One of the 2 hits, a home run to right off Verlander back in Detroit. And skips in there, Duncan down to second with 1 out.
That was a pitch thrown out of nervousness right there. To Albert Pujols, you rarely see a major league pitcher throw a 57-foot fastball. You'll see him throw a changeup, a breaking ball in front of the plate, rarely a fastball. That pitch was a sign of nervousness. Certainly understandable.
First base open, a 1-0 pitch to Pujols is in for a strike. 99 on the radar gun, a good sign for the Tigers. One thing they've been working on the side with Verlander to try to get some of the velocity back is to get more of his leg drive.
Stay more compact, right.
Strike 2 on Pujols. Verlander made a pitch too good with first base open in game 1, and Pujols took it the other way. A 2-run shot. The only other hit for Albert was a double in game 3 the opposite way. Two and 2, and Rodriguez is going to be tested tonight.
That was really a good play right there. Tough curveball. Remember, catchers anticipate the breaking ball in the dirt. Go right down with it. Good play, Rodriguez.
2 and 2, the count on Pujols. Tested again as Rodriguez. If you're going to test somebody, he's the best in the business, but it might be a long night tonight catching this 23-year-old excited rookie.
That is the 3rd ball in the dirt to Albert Pujols.
A 11-time Gold Glove Award winner. 3-2 count now on Pujols with Edmonds next. Another one that skips in there, and Pujols will take a walk, and so will Rodriguez. Out to talk to Verlander.
And once again, there's no talk between the two of them about mechanics or any of that stuff. That's a checkup from the neck up with Verlander.
Earlier in the dugout, we had this shot going to break, and the 23-year-old, a deep breath before he headed to work, and off he went. He got the lead man Eckstein, but he's walked the next 2 and thrown a wild pitch in there.
I tell you, Joe, with that shot, you could just feel the apprehension and anxiety.
Edmonds takes a ball. But Verlander has the kind of ability and the kind of stuff. He can channel it and get it back into the strike zone. He can be dominating. He's got to find it here fast. 2-0. Now Guillen, one of the leaders on this Detroit team, is going to come in and try to slow down Verlander, and so will the pitching coach. Hernandez try and do the same. It's worth mentioning that this is the typical day, rest-wise, that Kenny Rogers would be available to pitch. He matched up against Jeff Weaver in Game 2 back in Detroit. Jim Leyland saying, for obvious reasons, with the alleged pine tar use and the camera shots of him pitching in Game 2 and all of the hubbub around it, the controversy that he did not want to bring Kenny Rogers onto the mound here in St. Louis and have him pitch in this atmosphere.
Jim Leyland also saying that he had to win 3 games, so what difference does it make whether Rogers starts tonight, tomorrow, or Game 7? There's certainly credence in both lines of thought.
3-0. The other camp is get a win here tonight and get it back into our home ballpark and take our chances there.
Probably a stronger point.
Really already getting loose here in the first inning, and it's 2 on with 1 out. 3-0 to Edmonds. 3-1. That just caught the corner. Home plate umpire tonight is John Hirschbeck. One break for Verlander. Hirschbeck is known as a pitcher's umpire.
Wide strike zone.
Edmonds comes back with a full count. Caught the edge according to Hirschbeck. It's 3-2 with 2 on and 1 away.
Now we'll see if Tony La Russa sends the runners. I don't think so, with Edmonds' propensity to strike out.
This would be a huge out for Verlander to come back and get. He was 1 pitch out of the strike zone away from loading the bases with 1 out for Rolen, who has hit in 9 straight. He's fought back to a full count on Edmonds. Edmonds pops it into left field. Easy for Monroe. Wind playing with it. That's out number 2.
And Jim Edmonds going after ball 4. That ball right around the shoulders. I do not think Verlander would have gotten that call. So Edmonds helping Verlander out. Verlander and the Tigers.
Now it's Rolen. Rolen also homered off Verlander back in Detroit in Game 1. See what he's done with the bat. A 9-game hitting streak since he was benched in Game 2 of the NLCS. Strike 1. 97 from Verlander.
It's almost like a yoga class in this ballpark. Don't forget to breathe.
Verlander trying to slow it down a little bit now, taking the ball behind the mound, rubbing it up, and not just getting it and throwing it like he was doing to the first 3 hitters. That gets away, and the runners advance to second and third. 2 wild pitches here in the inning.
Verlander had only 5 wild pitches the whole season. This ball off the arm of Ivan Rodriguez, the breaking ball. So the second wild pitch of the innings, and the runners move up.
Really still getting loose for the Tigers out in their pen. But Verlander is 1 good pitch away from getting out of this. With Rolen at the plate, second and third, a 1-1 count. 2-1. Nothing wrong with the velocity tonight.
Nope.
Bases loaded, 3 walks and 2 wild pitches here in the inning. Belliard's coming up.
I think if you're Belliard, Joe, I think you got to take a strike. I think you play on the anxiety of a 23-year-old right-hander in only his second professional season.
Belliard's been on the bench for 2 of the games of this World Series. Miles has made the start. Ball 1.
Again, if you're Belliard, take a strike.
There have been 18 pitches out of the strike zone. 2 wild pitches and 4 trips to the mound, including 1 from the dugout with the pitching coach Hernandez. And the bases are loaded, but Verlander, downtime call by Guillen, is going to go out and pick up a hot dog wrapper. That's going the extra mile. Bases loaded, 2 out. 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2 on Belliard. So far, it's just been a steady diet of fastballs as Verlander's just trying to throw strikes. Forget the curve, forget everything else. Does he dare try to break off a curveball here with the bases loaded, 2 out and a 1-2 count?
I don't think so.
100 miles per hour, but ball 2. Called by Belliard. Ball 3, full count, and the runners will go.
Very, very close 2-2 fastball. That could have gone either way.
Foul. Duncan will tiptoe from third. Pujols will take off from second, and Rolen will take off from first. Ground ball up the middle. Guillen throws on the run and out to end the inning. That saved 2 runs as both Duncan and Pujols were coming home. What a play by Guillen to keep it scoreless after 1 in Game 5. Those guys and gals working every day. They're working hard to try to make it a great experience on DVD, so check it out, MLB.com. Ball 1 high from Verlander to Molina. Verlander walked 3 through 2 wild pitches in the first, and he guides 1 into the strike zone there for the Cardinal catcher. 1-1. Taguchi on deck, and then Weaver the pitcher. That's strike 2.
Change up after 2 fastballs. And sometimes you go through a first inning like that where you throw 35 pitches and you get out of it, and that helps relax you.
Breaking ball missing, and it's 2-2. Molina has had a terrific postseason. 327 overall, and he's hit 2 home runs, driven in 8. Up and after that one, still 2-2. This crowd wanting to see a clinching victory tonight. Wild in the bottom of the first inning like Verlander, but they have been quiet since Justin got out of it. Now Molina's on with a leadoff hit. Catcher Yadier Molina. So Taguchi will be the hitter, and we check in with Chris Myers.
Hey, Joe, Justin Verlander said he gets nervous before every start. It's a part of his makeup. He got through most of his anxiousness in the Yankees series, but he was relaxed in the Tiger clubhouse before the game, playing his teammate in a video baseball game on PSP. Said he didn't want to talk about the real game, but he'd talk about his video game. I said, how'd you do? He said, not good. He gave up a home run in the 8th and lost. Let's hope the real game is different.
Thank you, Chris. 1 on, nobody out. The batter is Taguchi. 1 for 8 in the World Series bunts. Inge with a bare hand pickup for the out. What a good play by Brandon Inge, who took a hit away from So Taguchi.
Boy, that was a terrific play on a hard bunt. A tougher play because it was bunted so hard. But Inge picking it up with the index finger and the middle finger in throwing position. There's no way to catch that ball in the palm of the hand and get it into a throwing position, so you make the play in the throwing position. That was a dandy by Inge.
Now it's Weaver, so Taguchi bunts. It goes down as a sacrifice. Weaver grounds weakly to Guillen. 2 out. And Eckstein will be the hitter. Number 8 hitter Taguchi bunting for a hit. Goes down as a sacrifice, but the out then leaves it up to Weaver, who had 3 hits and 27 at-bats during the regular season. He taps out. Now Eckstein, as he did last night, tries to give the Cardinals something with 2 out.
I think when it's clear that a hitter is not bunting to sacrifice the runner over, it should be a time at bat and no sack. In that situation, clearly, Taguchi trying to bunt him over, but not for Jeff Weaver.
Runner at third, 2 outs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the bunt by Taguchi, trying to get a base hit out of it. The play by Brandon Inge, and the reaction to that play from Tony La Russa in the Cardinal dugout. Eckstein shatters his bat. That's a fair ball. Inge throws wildly to first. Cardinals take the lead, and Eckstein down to second. He has delivered again.
Probably a hit and an error. Have to wonder how that ball stayed fair. It was a great backhanded pickup by Inge. And by the time he got to his feet, he throws wildly to second base side of first base. And Eckstein takes second base. Good throw, he has it.
It is a single, an RBI E5 on the throw to send Eckstein down to second. Now Duncan takes eyeball 1. So the Cardinals out in front tonight with a run here in the second and a chance for more. Duncan was walked his first time up. Fooled on that pitch from Verlander was the rookie Duncan. 1-1.
Joe would have taken lightning fast reactions, but Inge probably would have been better off going home on that ball because of the speed of Molina and the fact that Molina was looking back at Inge at the play. Had he gone home, he's got a better chance of getting Molina. But watch Molina look back, not running hard, but had he come home, the chances It's a shorter throw, but you have to have lightning fast instincts to think that quickly.
Now 3-1 on Duncan, with Albert Pujols on deck. Weaver has a lead. Duncan trying to add to it. Full count. Tigers join a list they want no part of. The first team to commit an error in each of the first 5 games of the World Series in '79. New baseball for Verlander, trying to get out of the second now. A leadoff hit by Molina. Bunted down to second. Moved over on the ground out by Weaver and scored on the hit by Eckstein. Duncan strikes out looking over the inside corner, and Verlander gets his first strikeout of the night. But the Cardinals get the first run of the night. 3rd inning now, game 5, 1-0 St. Louis. Top now 1-0. Here is Polanco, desperately trying to find his first hit of this World Series. 0 for 14. 471 through the first 2 rounds of this postseason. And the MVP of the ALCS. One hop to third, picked up by Rowland. One away. So Polanco started the postseason in his number 2 spot in the lineup. Casey got hurt. Polanco went to third. And now after an 0 for 14, make it 0 for 15 after that ground out start, Polanco is down at the bottom of the order for Detroit. Here is Brandon Inge. Night as he takes low on a breaking ball from Weaver. Inge hit an RBI double off Adam Wainwright at the top of the 8th inning to tie the game at 4. Breaking ball in for a strike. 1-1. Nobody on. That misses down and away. 2-1.
Who would have thought it with Jeff Weaver, a guy who was 5 and 14 in his first 26 starts this year.
Ripped into left field. Back is Taguchi and cannot get there. Brandon Inge digs for second, and the throw will be late. Inge with another double.
One thing that you notice about Brandon Inge, he has sneaky power. When he gets balls in the outfield on the line, they have carry power. And this one carrying over Taguchi's head for yet another double by Inge.
Inge with 2 hits last night. On base 3 times last night. Now he's out at second base with 1 away for Verlander. And he's 0 for 1 in his career swinging the bat. Grounds it back to Weaver. And his throw, as they've trapped Inge between second and third. Rolling with a tag and a fielder's choice 1-5.
Jim Leyland looking for the jacket for Justin Verlander, but another mistake by the Tigers, this time on the bases. As Brandon Inge going too far, and a good play by Rowland, running it back towards second base. And that wipes out the runner in scoring position for Detroit. As we said on the opening, Jim Leyland saying we've got to make up for our mistakes by swinging the bats. And so far, the Tigers haven't done that.
The ball was headed back up the middle. Weaver was in good fielding position after letting the pitch go. Made the play easily. Fielder's choice. Now Verlander has to run the bases. He's at first with 2 out for Granderson, who's 0 for 1 and 1 for 19 in this World Series. Basically sitting with Jim Leyland. He just sat at his desk tonight before the game and said, what can you do? I mean, we just haven't played well. We haven't hit well. We've made errors. Then he pointed to the Cardinals. He said, who knew against the Mets that for New York it wouldn't be the pitching of the Mets that beat New York. It'd be their own hitters. And that's pretty much the same thing that's happening to Detroit as they started tonight with a team average of .211 in this World Series. But a lot of mistakes, not just a lack of hitting. Granderson lines one into center, and you see what that base running play by Inge did. Took a run off the board possibly for Detroit. As Granderson gets the base hit, it's 2 on with 2 out. And before the at bat, here is Curtis Granderson.
What's up? Maybe. Pitchers get that luxury. They get to run the bases with the jacket. I don't know why they don't let us do it.
Such a nice, neat guy. And Granderson talking to the fans by the on-deck circle as now Monroe has a chance with 2 on and 2 out to do damage for Detroit. Lead runner is Verlander, the pitcher. The trail runner is Granderson with great speed. And Inge is still over there shaking his head after being trapped on the bases. To third. Rowland smothers it and throws it. The Tigers get 2 hits, lose Inge on the bases, and it hurts Detroit. Bottom of the 3rd inning, game 5. Part of the order for the Cardinals up by 1.
It's an idea of major league pitchers. They do not hit the spot every time. That pitch missed by about 6 inches.
1 on, nobody out. Jim Edmonds digging his way in. He flied out to left on a 3-2 pitch. Back in a long 35-pitch first inning for Verlander. Strike 1.
That was hittable. Edmonds missing the high fastball. He'd like that one back.
Edmonds 4 out of 14 in this World Series. Pujols still trying to stretch out over at first base. 0-1. Inside corner, 0-2. This Detroit team, remember, down the stretch, they lost 31 of their last 50. Then their last 5 games to a combination of Toronto and Kansas City to lose the division. They were the wild card. But it looked to all the baseball world like they had put that stretch way behind them. And after losing the first game of the division series at Yankee Stadium, they won the next 3 against New York. Swept Oakland 4 straight. Jim Leland is trying to find the right formula with his lineup. Cut down on these errors. Get some big hits. So they've been unable to do. Edmonds grounds to first, foul. Still 1-2. The Cardinals, on the other hand, almost let a 7-game lead slip away to the Houston Astros. Got down to a half game entering the final weekend. And it took a win by Atlanta over Houston on the final day of the season to assure the Cardinals that they would not have to play an extra day as a makeup game against San Francisco the Monday after that final Sunday, and they were in the postseason, but not expected to do much. 2-2. Yet here they are after getting past San Diego, then the Mets in 7 games, leading this World Series. 3 games to 1.
The experts are idiots.
That is well said. Here's a 2-2. Full count. I certainly don't consider myself an expert, but I am in the camp.
Anymore.
I am in the camp of of those who thought, well, the Cardinals, yeah, they got in the postseason, but this of the groups that La Russa has had is the team that struggled the most. Pujols running, and they have Albert caught in a rundown as Edmonds struck out. And now Pujols is tagged out, caught stealing in a double play. 2 out, nobody on.
Well, in the first inning, La Russa did not send the runners, but here with Edmonds up, this time he does send the runners. Pujols stopping between first and second. The interesting thing is Rodriguez did not have a hold of the ball. Had Pujols continued to second base, maybe there's an outside chance he makes it. But once in a rundown, he's easy prey.
Caught stealing 2-6-3. Now it's rolling with the bases empty and 2 out. Takes a strike. Roland pops it up. Second base position. Polanco is under it. And game number 5 goes into inning number 4. Detroit will bat. Big bats coming up for the Tigers, down 1-0. Detroit against Jeff Weaver. That means Guillen Ordonez and Sean Casey 1-0 St. Louis on the RBI hit with 2 out by Eckstein in the second. Guillen takes ball 1.
What Detroit needs in the way of opportunities is first and third, nobody out. First and third, 1 out. That's how you get those multi-run innings. And Detroit has had a lack of those through these 5 games thus far.
Guillen flied out to left his first time up. That's to first and comes back for Pujols, who limps to the bag. 1 out. Our game summary is brought to you by Verizon Wireless. So we're here in game 5. Cardinals leading 3-1. Eckstein with the RBI hit in the second. Brandon Inge, his 3rd error this World Series. And Jeff Weaver struck out 4 of the first 5 batters and has gone 3 1/3. For the most part, Tony La Russa has not let Weaver go too far. You look at his last 9 starts, he's 5-2 with an ERA just over 4, but in no start did he go past 6 innings. They have limited his exposure, and it has paid off as Ordonez takes ball 2.
Also, Joe, we talked about the Tigers in multi-run innings. They have had 2 multi-run innings in this World Series. 2 innings in which they scored 2 runs. Getting back to Jim Leyland's remarks before the game, these guys just have to hit to win. And so far, that has not happened.
Ordonez struck out his first time. He gets under this one into shallow right center. Edmonds, Duncan, and it's Duncan who drops it. Jim Edmonds did not take charge, and Chris Duncan, playing in right, commits his 2nd error of this postseason.
Tell you, you can see Edmonds right there, and Duncan ultimately tried to one-hand it. I'm not too sure that Jim Edmonds wasn't the guy who got in the way there. If he, I mean, that ball's in the right field. If you're the right fielder, you got to make that play. Edmonds coming over, calling for it, and now he ducks in. I'm not too sure Edmonds wasn't in the way of Duncan on that ball. He may have still dropped it. But with that much interference, General Manager Walt Jocketty saying a routine play not made by the Cardinals.
And now we'll see if the Tigers can take advantage of that mistake by St. Louis. Cardinals have taken advantage of Tiger mistakes in this series, and now an error on a routine fly ball to right. And who better for Detroit to step in right now than their hottest hitter, Sean Casey, who hits it down the right field line into the corner. At the wall, this ball is gone for a 2-run home run, and Detroit takes a 2-1 4th inning lead. An error and a home run on the very next pitch, and the Tigers jump on top.
Let's go. Talk about a momentum changer in a heartbeat. The error on a routine ball to right. Next pitch, Weaver tries to come inside to Casey. Looked like a cut fastball. And boy, Casey zeroed in on that one to put the Tigers in front. Man.
Now with one out, Rodriguez trying to bunt his way on, fouls it. Strike one. Only question was whether it would hook foul, and it just did stay fair. Casey bombed that one into right. Now Rodriguez flies one to right, and Duncan makes the play. 2 out. We saw Edmonds earlier in this postseason on a ball in left center cut in front of Chris Duncan to make a play. Edmonds was certainly there. Duncan was there waiting for that fly ball in right. Edmonds ducked behind him. Duncan missed it. The home run followed. The Tigers take advantage of the mistake, and now Polanco takes a strike, and we get another look. Duncan just learning the outfield. He makes his second error of this postseason, and Polanco hits a one-hopper to Belliard. Polanco is now 0 for 16, but the Tigers take the lead. An error, a 2-run home run. 2-1 Detroit after 3.5. Gucci, if anybody gets on, Weaver the pitcher. 2-1 Detroit on top. Belliard grounded out with the bases loaded in the first, and he hits it here into left right at Monroe. 1 pitch, 1 out. Tony La Russa chatted with us during the last break. So Tony La Russa in the top of this 4th inning, an error, and the Tigers took advantage of it. Sean Casey has been red hot. Let's talk about Duncan out in right. What did you see from the dugout? It looked like Edmonds was in a position and then ducked behind Chris right as the ball was coming down.
Yeah, it looked like Jim got, they over-aggressive, and it was a routine play for Chris. But, I think Jim just got aggressive outfielder and distracted him a little bit. We like being aggressive, so that's part of the game.
Let's talk about Verlander. You saw him walk 3 in the first inning, throw a couple of wild pitches. He settled down a little bit. What do you see from the dugout tonight for the young right-hander?
Well, there's nothing wrong with his stuff. His location's been a little off, and we missed a couple of chances, but he's a handful to go against. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right, Tony, thanks for your time. Down and away is the next to Molina, and the count goes to 2-1.
Joe, I have heard you and Troy Aikman and football announcers talk about a wide receiver hearing footsteps from a defensive back. Well, outfielders hear footsteps too, and perhaps that's what happened with Chris Duncan.
Molina has a 2-hit night, and he's on with 1 out here in the 4th inning. That's his 8th multi-hit game in postseason play. He had 17 all regular season for the Cardinals. He's on with 1 out here, and so Taguchi steps in.
Now that Verlander's throwing more strikes, there's a chance that the hit and run may be employed right here. If you do that with 1 out and the pitcher on deck, you have a chance to get the runner to third with less than 2 outs.
Ball 1.
If you're going to do it, now's the time to do it because the count's in the favor of the Cardinals.
One on, 1 out. Taguchi up the middle. That's a base hit. Molina will stop at second. And there are 2 aboard here in the 4th inning.
Pitch was down and in, laced back through the middle by Taguchi.
And now a visit from the Somebody from the dugout to get the spikes or the dirt out of the spikes of Verlander on this wet track. And Jamie Walker and Jason Grilli, the left-hander and right-hander, get loose. They're not out there, I think, for any sort of an injury visit, but they've got somebody out there getting the dirt out of his spikes. You ever seen that?
No, I've never seen 7 guys on the mound trying to help a pitcher get dirt out of his spikes. Remember on our pregame show tonight, Joe Girardi talking about putting Pam on the on the spikes before he even had a chance of getting dirt mounted and into the spike area. Kevin Kennedy and Joe Girardi kidding about that.
How about Ledesma out in the bullpen? Now that's a guy taking every precaution. He's got a rubber glove on his own hand.
Rubber glove on. What's that all about?
Some of that balm that we hear. No, Clemens likes to use that stuff. As Weaver, trying to bunt, pops it up and backing out of play. The point is about them coming out to get the mud out of the spikes of Verlander. Leland trailed everybody out there, and as it turned out, Leland ends up having a visit with Verlander in what should be a bunting situation for the Cardinals with 2 on, 1 out, and not much speed at second with Molina, the lead runner. Bunt to Verlander, the play to third, and the throw. Another error by a Detroit pitcher. This game is tied, and it's second and third with only 1 out. Unbelievable. 2-2 in the 4th.
Second error of the series for Verlander. He didn't throw the ball. He goosed it to third base. He just tried to push it over there. This is such an easy play, maybe a double play. If he gives Inge a good throw, the ball into the baseline, Molina scores easily. It's a tie game and runners into scoring position.
That's 5 games and 5 errors by this pitching staff, 2 by Verlander. It's a fielder's choice E1. And it's second and third. Eckstein coming up.
I think they're going to walk Eckstein and bring the left-hander in to pitch to Duncan. Nope. Thought I saw Jim Leland go to the 4 fingers.
And that time called as Eckstein gets out of there.
We talked about the squeeze through the first 4 games. There's nobody with whom Tony La Russa likes to squeeze any more than David Eckstein.
Ball 1 from Verlander. The bottom of the order doing the damage, and then yet another throwing error by a Detroit pitcher. Leland talking to us before the game, saying if we lose this series, that's what everybody's going to be talking about. And you can add another pitcher error to the list. Eckstein hits it to short. A run scores. Throw to first out. Cardinals lead 3-2.
Taguchi didn't run right away. Jeff Weaver ran, but Taguchi didn't. Actually, Guillen had a play on Taguchi at home. Why the delay on Taguchi's part, I don't know. Maybe the ball was hit so hard, a liner, and Guillen goes right to first base. But watch the delay on Taguchi. Tough play by Guillen, and I guess that's why he went to first base. But had he come home, he's got a shot at Taguchi.
Now runner at third, Weaver, 2 out for Duncan. Down and in, ball 1. Duncan made the error. The Tigers took advantage. Now the throwing error by Verlander leads to 1 and then another. Overmatched with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 1-1. The Cardinals did this throughout the NLCS against the Mets. The Mets would score, the Cardinals would answer. They've done it against the Tigers in this World Series, and they're trying to add to a 1-run lead.
Tell you, Joe, even though it's a 4th inning with Duncan, and Duncan makes the last out, I'd put a defensive replacement in for him immediately in this 3-2 ball game. I don't think you could take any more chances with Chris Duncan in right field if you're La Russa.
Duncan pops it up on the infield for Guillen. The Cardinals get a couple thanks in large part to a throwing error by a Tiger pitcher. There's Jeremiah from Game 3. Here's Verlander from Game 5. That led to the tying run. The Cardinals lead by 1. Back after this from your local Fox station. Against Weaver, 2 unearned runs scoring against Verlander because of his error in the bottom of the 4th. Fastball misses, up and in, ball 1 to Brandon Inge, who doubled his first time up. Verlander is in the on-deck circle, and then back to the top, Granderson. 1-0. Breaking ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2. Tony La Russa talked about errors that pitchers make, and some guys, he said that's an area where you can improve, and it's something that you know next spring training Jim Leyland will have his pitchers, no matter what happens the rest of this series, working early and often on pitchers field their position. Inge strikes out, strikeout number 5 for Weaver, and Verlander will be the hitter. Fox NFL Sunday returns as the Bucks take on Tiki Barber and the Giants in New York. Ward, Torrey Holt and the Rams look to slow down LaDainian Tomlinson and the Chargers, or other regional action. It all begins Sunday with America's #1 pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox. Rondé Barber has had a great season. His brother Tiki, 647 rush yards, and he has announced that this will be his final year in the NFL. So enjoy it on Sunday. Tampa Bay and the New York Giants. Here's an 0-1. Verlander takes strike 2. Two out. 6 strikeouts for Weaver. Back to the top of the order. Granderson singled his last time up. Came right after Inge was erased, being trapped between second and third on a ball hit by Verlander. Ball 1 high. Prior to tonight's game, Rick Scheit, Chevrolet's executive director, product development, presented a check for over $120,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America for its television player of the game sponsorship. Accepting on behalf of the Boys and Girls Clubs, Midwest Regional Vice President John Miller. For over 100 years, MLB and the Boys and Girls Clubs have been helping to build better communities throughout the U.S. 2 out, nobody on. A 2-1 pitch to Granderson. Molina wants it down. It wasn't down, but it's by the bat of Curtis Granderson. And Weaver could strike out the side here in the 5th.
Weaver's gotten away with a lot of fastballs up in the strike zone tonight. These Tiger hitters, with the exception of Sean Casey, remain cold.
Still 2-2.
I tell you, Joe, I could not help but be taken by the lead line of Joe Strauss, who writes for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch today. And he said, even at its highest level, the game remains a simple one. And think of all the simple things in this series that have not been done by Detroit. Routine, simple, everyday baseball things, and the Tigers have not executed.
8 unearned runs allowed by Detroit. 3-2 now. A 2-out walk. See if that starts something for the Tigers. It continues the top of the 5th, and it brings in their big home run hitter this postseason, Craig Monroe, who has hit 5. Most ever hit by a Tiger in any one postseason. The 5 home runs hit by Monroe ties Hank Greenberg and the work that he did in World Series play, hitting 5 home runs. Strike 1 on a breaking ball on the inside corner to Monroe, who's 0 for 2. And now he's 3 out of 18 in this World Series. Off the end of the bat, behind third base. Eckstein puts it away. Who's coming up for St. Louis? Pujols will lead it off. Then Edmonds and Rowland. Bottom of the 5th inning of game number 5. The bottom of the 5th. Pujols, Edmonds, and Rowland for Verlander, who has settled down, had a rough start in the 1st inning. That's a curveball, which has not been a factor at all tonight for Verlander, and that is one of the nastiest pitches in the league that he possesses. But with his control issues, he hasn't been able to use it.
Jim Leyland telling us before Justin's first start that the weather could affect his curveball. Maybe the weather's affecting his curveball tonight. It did not in game 1, but it perhaps is a factor tonight.
Pujols fouls it out of play, and the count after that 98-mile-an-hour fastball is 2-1.
Just offhand, I can't remember a curveball thrown for a strike by Verlander thus far.
I can't either. Check swing. He went around. Pujols flips his bat at home plate. That won't endear him to Tim McClelland, who takes a couple of steps in.
No, Pujols went too far there. That's an easy call. I don't know why Albert is upset, thinking he would get the call, but that's a strike.
McClelland was upset with the way Pujols reacted. Breaking ball strikes him out. There is a curveball for strike 3, and Verlander drops one in on Pujols. And McClelland is looking at Albert Pujols all the way back to the dugout.
That fastball he went too far on, and he flips the bat like that. He tried to catch it, and now McClelland looking at Pujols in the dugout, and obviously Tony La Russa trying to deflect that. And the interesting thing is Pujols will be going back to first in the top of the 6th inning.
Verlander misses up and away to Jim Edmonds. Two and 0. Edmonds is 0 for 2 and 4 out of 15 in this World Series. Hard hit. What a play by Polanco on a short hop and a backhand. 2 down. Let's go to Jim Leyland's interview. Well, Jim Leyland, I guess we have to talk about the obvious, and that's another throwing error by your pitchers. I'm sure you've never seen anything like this, and these are great athletes for you that are making bad throws over at third base.
Yeah, well, we, you know, I think we just broke our own record. I think we said it yesterday. We broke it today. So I don't know if you can take PFP on the plane, but we might have to do something.
That's pitcher field their position. It's something Tony was talking about before the game, and he said it's something that, you know, with a lot of work you can get better at, and not to make light of a serious situation. But for Verlander, he bent a little bit in that first inning, but he settled down and he has done his job on the mound. That throwing error was just a big mistake in this game so far.
Yeah, well, it was a physical error. And the funny part about it, Joe, is the one thing we did work on the days off when we worked out was the bunt plays. So we've gone over and we had PFP during that time, during our little week off there that we had.
We will continue the back end of the interview. 3-2 after 5 in game 5. Something done for the Tigers, who face elimination here tonight, trying to get the World Series back to Detroit. Ian Ordonez and Casey, the red hot Sean Casey. Tim, you made mention of it leading into last inning. Chris Duncan out in right field.
Yeah, with the two left-handers coming up for the Tigers, he and Casey. Clearly, Duncan is in there for his bat, but the Cardinals have a tenuous one-run lead. And in my view, Duncan shouldn't be out there, but another right fielder, somebody like Preston Wilson, should be in there. Because to me, you play 4 innings of defense right now, and Chris is not your best defensive right fielder.
Made the error on the ball hit by Ordonez back in the 4th. Belliard stays down on it. 1 out. We'll finish our interview with Jim Leyland. I asked him to gauge the mood in his dugout with his team trailing here in Game 5.
No, I think we're good. I think we're okay. I think we have a lot of confidence, and you know, I think it's obviously at the moment it happened, it's disappointing, but the guys are into it and they know what we have to do. We're gonna have to score some more anyway.
You're good to talk to us. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, that's Jim Leyland, the manager of the Tigers. Now Maglio Ordonez with 1 out, nobody on, and that's off the end of the bat, caught by Weaver. 2 out.
How about that play? You don't know whether Weaver caught the ball or the ball caught Weaver. Off the end of the bat, twisting and turning into the glove of Weaver.
You got Tiger pitchers making throwing errors that have been crippling to Detroit's chances in this World Series, and then Weaver here with 1 out, and their hottest hitter Casey coming up stabs that thing back up the middle. Here is Casey, who hit a 2-run home run in the 4th inning to put Detroit out in front 2-1 for a short while. Last night went deep. 4 out of his last 6 is Casey with 2 home runs, and he takes outside ball 1. One 92 miles per hour from Weaver. He has turned in a beauty up to this point. Has not gone more than 6 in his last 9 starts. He has 2 out here in the 6th. Overpowering fastball from Weaver. Hits it in the air to right. There's Duncan backpedaling, and he cannot make the play. Casey will end up at second base, and there's the tying run as Chris Duncan makes another error in right.
Tony La Russa had a chance to remove Duncan after the 4th inning. We talked about it. Duncan is not a good fielder. It botches up this ball hit by Sean Casey. That should not happen. He shouldn't be there.
2 errors on Duncan in this game. It's a 2-base error. And now they're taking an error off the board and giving Casey a double. But that's clearly a ball that should have been caught in right.
Yep.
But it goes down as a double instead of the second error. Either way, here's another chance for Detroit. Ivan Rodriguez. And now Weaver has to gather himself and calls Molina out to talk. So no error. They take it off the board and give a double to Sean Casey on a ball that should have been caught in right. Game 6 tomorrow night on the air at 7:30 Eastern. That's if necessary from Detroit. Rodriguez and company would like to make it necessary. Here's his chance. 0 for 2 tonight. 1 RBI in this World Series. Weaver trying to pitch around the misplay. Strike 1. for Detroit. Strike two. One of the few times that Weaver has dropped down tonight and delivered it sidearm.
Perfect spot for Rodriguez.
Nobody more relieved in the park than Chris Duncan. As he heads off the field, Cardinals lead at 3-2. By Molina, it's his third hit of the night. And he's on with one out here in the sixth. And just to say again, Tim, PFP is pitcher field's position, and that's, as we look back at these plays, Zumaya, game three, no movement by Joel Zumaya. Same for Rodney, flat-footed. And the same tonight by Verlander. Flat-footed. That's something we talked about with Jim Leland from the dugout. He said that's what we worked on during the layoff between the ALCS and the start of the World Series. And it's something that you know they will work on a lot come next February.
Forever next February. The thing, a lot of pitchers are used to throwing balls that move also. And sometimes they are victims of balls that move when they throw the bases.
Here's Taguchi. He takes strike one. Zumaya getting loose. Getting late for Detroit. Down by a run here in game 5. Down 3 games to 1 in this World Series. The dirt blocked by Rodriguez. Taguchi with a hit and a run scored. Taguchi is up there to hit with a pitcher on deck. No thought of a bunt. But Verlander and the Tigers are acting like he's up there throwing over with Molina, who's a step off the bag.
Yadier Molina may be the slowest runner in the National League. And that may be the first throw to first base with Molina there all year. Yadi's got to be proud of that.
He's looking over at Oquendo smiling.
They think I'm fast.
Taguchi grounds one to the shortstop, and the only play at first out there as Guillen gets Taguchi. Down to second is Molina with Weaver coming up. Again, here's a guy at the plate who's doing what he's doing on the mound. 1 earned run through 6 innings. He struck out 7, walked 1. This was a guy that was cut loose by the Angels, put on waivers. The Cardinals made a deal for a minor league outfielder to get him. Swings the bat pretty well, by the way, as he fouls it off to the right. And he is turning in his best outing as a Cardinal in the most important time. And Weaver, who was with the Tigers from '99 through '02, then to New York, then to the Dodgers, then to the Angels, found his way to St. Louis, started out slowly here. But Dave Duncan thought he was a work in progress, thought there was something there to try and resuscitate, and it's worked. Where they wanted to give him the ball tonight instead of Anthony Reyes, who was the starter and winner in game 1 in Detroit. 3-10 with the Angels, 7-6 with the Cardinals, including the postseason. The 0-2 from Verlander. Down ball to Polanco. Game number 5 goes into the 7th inning. The Tigers will have the bottom 3 in their lineup as they trail by 1. Back after this from your local Fox station. Weaver back out there for the 7th inning. Bottom of the order coming up for the Tigers. Preston Wilson takes over in left. That moves So Taguchi from left to right. Chris Duncan is no longer out there in the field for St. Louis. Polanco 0 for 2. 0 for 16 in the World Series. And he takes a strike from Weaver. One of the best contact hitters in the game is Fernando Rodney. Gets loose for Detroit in their bullpen. He grounds one to the right side. Pujols with a stop. Weaver on the other end for the out. What a defensive play. 1 out in the 7th.
My goodness. Not only the catch, throwing from his back, and the play by Weaver. My gosh. Just to get Polanco. What a play.
Just beating Polanco's left foot to the base was the right foot of Jeff Weaver. And again, you talk about PFP, pitcher fielding position.
Yeah, good point.
Weaver over to make the short hop pickup and stomp on the bag to get the first out here in the 7th. And a fastball hits the outside corner to Inge.
This is also one of those situations where a size 13.5 beats a 9.5.
The foot of Weaver compared to the foot of Polanco. Breaking ball outside. So Weaver is now officially, here's how close it was. Just before Polanco got there. It was very nearly Placido's first hit of this World Series. Inside, 2-1.
That's one of those baseball plays that you see and you say, did I just see that correctly? That was sensational.
Breaking ball out in front of the plate. Molina hops on it. 2 out. Our HP player personality is Jeff Weaver. Why not learn more about this guy as he's twirling it here in Game 5?
Here we are.
Favorite song, The Unforgiven by Metallica. Grew up idolizing Doc Gooden. Bowled a 300 on his 16th birthday. And we played him music because his favorite TV show, I'm assuming when he was a kid, was Silver Spoons, which starred the young Ricky Schroeder, not the Rick Schroeder that he grew up to be from NYPD Blue fame. HP, the computer, is personal again, and that is very revealing for Jeff Weaver. Here is Alexis Gomez pinch hitting now for Verlander, who went the first 6 tonight. 3 runs, but only 1 earned. Gomez has a home run this postseason. It happened in the ALCS out in Oakland. He'd like to pop one here and draw the Tigers back to even as they face elimination here in Game 5. Out in front of it, Weaver fooled him, and Taguchi now in right puts it away. Weaver threw 7. What a defensive play by Pujols and Weaver to start the inning. Cardinals lead in the series and in this game. And right now, we rejoin public address announcer John Hewlett.
Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention behind home plate. Here tonight to honor America with their rendition of God Bless America, please welcome St. Louis's own up-and-coming R&B group, Varsity.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. America, my home, sweet home. America, my home, sweet home. Let's go, Cards!
New pitcher is Fernando Rodney, and there are the numbers this postseason. He committed the throwing error last night on the bunt by Taguchi, set up after Granderson slipped on the ball hit by Eckstein to start the inning. But Rodney pitched brilliantly last night. An inning and 2/3, 4 strikeouts, no earned runs, but 2 runs scored on him because of the error. 5'7", 165 pounds. David Eckstein, 2-0.
One of the great things about the national stage is a guy like Fernando Rodney has a chance to dazzle a national audience. I mean, this guy with those 2 pitches, fastball, changeup, perhaps the biggest difference in those 2 pitches of any pitcher that I know of in the major league.
2-1 on Eckstein. Side from the hole. Guillen double clutches, safe.
The double clutch caught him. That's why the throw was late. Momentarily could not grab the ball. The throw is high and Eckstein beats it. Right there, pops out of the glove, and that cost Guillen. We'll see how it's scored. A base hit for Eckstein.
So it is another hit for Eckstein. 2 tonight, had 4 last night. Realized that David Eckstein was 0 for 11 in this World Series until his final 3 plate appearances of Game 3. He came in having reached base 7 of his last plate appearances, and he's on base tonight with his second hit. Also has an RBI in the 4th and an RBI on a base hit in the 2nd. At this point, Eckstein is starting to climb into contention for the MVP of this World Series if the Cardinals end up winning it.
Tell you, Joe, normally you wouldn't do this, but playing into the weakness of the Tigers, I might bunt here and bunt the ball back to Rodney. Make him throw the ball. I mean, Wilson is a guy who's got a blind spot around the letters, and the Tiger pitchers have shown that they are very unstable. Even though you run the risk of them walking Pujols, but you depend on Edmonds. So a bunt here not out of the question, but looking like he was hitting on that first pitch.
Now from Rodney, and a visit from Rodriguez. Wednesday night on Fox, Bones returns all new at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, followed by the series premiere of the most anticipated game show of the year, The Rich List, at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. It all starts Wednesday night right here on Fox. And here's yet another one of those visits from manager, not pitching coach. It's Jim Leland, not Chuck Hernandez. Trying to guide this young pitching staff through the postseason. And it's Leland doing all the talking.
Yep. Yeah, the obvious message is don't try to be too fine. Use the middle part of the plate and take your chances with Preston Wilson.
The Tigers in the 8th inning will have the top of their lineup. Granderson, Monroe, and Guillen. Rodney on the mound, Joel Zumaya, Jamie Walker, the right-hander and left-hander getting loose. Eckstein at first, nobody out. 2-0 to Preston Wilson. Low, 3-0. 4, 2 on with nobody out. And now Pujols, who has only 2 RBIs this entire World Series. Six RBIs for Pujols in this postseason. He has not had to carry the Cardinal team to this point. Up 3-1 in the World Series and leading Game 5, 3-2 in the 7th. Strike one as it pops out of the glove of Rodriguez.
And normally you may have had a cross up there. After that happens, Rodriguez going out to talk to, yeah, that was a cross up. Looking for the changeup, he got the fastball. Fortunately, kept it in front of him. Not only that, they get a strike call. You drop a ball as a catcher, you normally don't get that strike call.
Rodriguez has played the role of psychologist tonight as well as catcher for this Tiger team. Here's an 0-1. Almost caught Oquendo on its way foul down the line. 0-2. You can watch baseball like you never have before. The best picture on TV, Direct TV, as you see Pujols get out in front. Ball one. Hasn't driven in a run in his last 18 plate appearances. During the regular season, 49 home runs, a career high, 137 RBIs, and a .331 average to lead this team into the postseason. Two and two. Teams who have led in World Series play, best of 7, 3-1, are 34-5 all time. But among those 5 teams who have lost, 2 of them Cardinal teams. St. Louis in '68 to the Tigers, and St. Louis in 1985 to the Kansas City Royals. Cardinals have lost their last 3 tries in the World Series. 04 to Boston, 87 to the Twins, 85 to Kansas City. Haven't won since '82. Pujols pops it behind the second base position. Polanco is there. Infield fly rule is called. 1 out. And Pujols has been held in check. Now it's 2 on, 1 out for Jim Edmonds. Edmonds 0 for 3 tonight. Walker is ready in the bullpen, but no sign of Jim Leland coming out to make a change.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about Rodney. Perhaps more than any other American League pitcher, he can neutralize. You saw Lloyd McClendon telling the left-hander Jamie Walker to sit down. That's because Rodney can neutralize left-handed batters as well or better than any other reliever in the American League. That's because of that changeup. Deadly combination, fastball change.
Ball one. Edmonds' biggest hit of this postseason was the ball he hit against Nate Robertson with the bases loaded, 1 out. In the 4th inning of Game 3 to back Chris Carpenter, make it 2-0. The Cardinals won that game 5-0. Rodney trying to tighten up and keep it a 1-run game. 2-0 with Rolen on deck. Edmonds came into this game as a .417 hitter when the count has started 1-0. Count in his favor here, 2-0. 2 on, 1 out.
Rodriguez and Guillen have worn paths to that pitcher's mound tonight.
By the way, the numbers on Verlander: 6 innings, 3 runs, only 1 earned. So he really settled down. He gave 6 hits, walked 3, all 3 in the 1st inning. Struck out 4, threw 2 wild pitches. Kept his team in it, but Weaver has outpitched him. And through 7 innings has thrown only 82 pitches. He'll go back out there to start the 8th. Edmonds can sit on a pitch with a count 2-0. He fouled a 95-mile-an-hour fastball straight back. Prior to the Game 2 start that Weaver made in Detroit, a lot was made. The closer for the Tigers, Todd Jones, saying there's no love lost, that Weaver is no longer here. The team that selected him 14th overall back in 1998. Groomed him, got him to the big leagues, and then shipped him off in a 3-way deal to New York. Now it's come full circle, and Weaver will head back out at the top of the 8th inning with a lead of at least 1 run, trying to nail down a World Series against Detroit. 2-1. 2-2.
But Jim Edmonds guessed right, fouled it back. He has had several pitches to hit tonight, but he's fouled them straight back. Looking for a fastball, he got it and miffed because he missed it.
As we look at our United States Postal Service Fox tracks. Likes it up, but that had some jump. Two on, 1 out. 2-2 on Edmonds here in the 7th. Reaching for it on a changeup. Another good pitch from Rodney. Shallow right for Ordonez, 2 out. The batter will be Rolen.
That's the thing about Rodney's changeup. It gets strong hitters to bring their hands forward. And once their hands come forward, you got them.
I'll tell you, Fernando Rodney could provide his team with a lift here in the 7th inning by first getting into trouble and now trying to get out of it by getting Pujols, Edmonds, and Rolen. Trying to keep it 3-2 St. Louis with the top of the lineup coming up for Detroit in the 8th. Can Rodney finish off this 7th, or will Rolen take a bite out of the Tigers? Ball 1, down and away. Cardinals have struggled all series long with runners in scoring position. They're 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position tonight, but leading at 3-2. this ball is foul. Would have scored 2. It was foul. Couldn't have been by much as it leaves our line of sight. And off the railing to make the count 1-1.
Help it, Fernando.
A hit and a walk in the inning. Rolen hitless tonight. Came in having hit in 9 straight games. Into right field, Ordonez will play it on a bounce. Here comes Eckstein. Cardinals lead by 2.
A huge 2-out hit by Scott Rolen. Fought off, inside-out swing. Ordonez in right field has to play Rolen deeply, respecting his power. Ordonez throw home is late.
What a time for Rolen to pick for his first hit in 12 at-bats with runners in scoring position this postseason. And now a 10-game hitting streak for the Cardinal third baseman. Now it's Belliard, first and third, 2 out, 4-2 St. Louis in the 7th. Strike 1. Eckstein yet again in the middle of all the action for St. Louis. A 2-out RBI hit in the 2nd for David Eckstein. An RBI ground out in the 4th for Eckstein, and scores the 4th run of the night here in the 7th on the hit by Rolen. Strike 2 on Belliard.
The way Belliard has been swinging, and it has not been good throughout the series. La Russa may think about a double steal right here, try to steal a run. If Rolen does run, you wonder if Rodriguez would throw through.
On top of that, why not put more pressure on this Tiger defense, which has melted in the postseason?
That's right. With a 2-run lead, you take more chances.
Runners stay put. Belliard is jammed. Rodriguez to make the play, and the inning is over. Top of the order coming up for the Tigers. The task made more difficult with a 2-out RBI hit by Rolen. It's now 4-2 Cardinals after 7 in Game 5. Granderson will dig his way in, just 2 for 20 with 7 strikeouts. It doesn't get much better as you go down the list. A breaking ball for a strike to start the 8th. The top 3 hitters in the Detroit lineup in this World Series hitting a combined 109, which is the 2nd lowest in the history of World Series play, to the 66 Dodgers, who hit 091.
Losing 4 in a row to the Baltimore Orioles.
That's why when Jim Leyland says you can talk all you want about the mistakes we've made defensively, and there have been big ones, and another one by Verlander tonight, another error by a Detroit pitcher, but they have not hit to overcome anything.
Right.
The 1-2. Anderson hit it hard but foul.
Earlier, Joe, we showed that graphic about the 79 Pirates. First time since 1979 that a team had made 5 errors in the first 5 World Series games. The Pirates could make up for it. The Lumber Company of 1979, they won that World Series against Baltimore.
2-2. Find it surprising that leading 4-2 with a chance to win the World Series, Weaver on the mound, nobody is getting loose for the Cardinals in their bullpen.
I agree.
Granderson pops it out behind second. Edmonds is there, 1 out. 7 1/3 from Jeff Weaver.
The last last time during the season that he pitched into the 8th inning, August 17th against Cincinnati. His last complete game was last year when he had 3 for Los Angeles.
Now Randy Flores will get loose with Monroe at the plate. Weaver will throw his name onto the list of unlikely postseason heroes, as he's done it the entire postseason for the Cardinals. Ball 1. He won Game 2 of the division series in San Diego. Lost Game 1 of the NLCS at the Mets, but pitched well. Gave up just 2 runs on 4 hits. The home run by Beltran. Outside, 2-1. He won Game 5 of the NLCS here against the Mets, and lost Game 2, turned in 5 innings at Detroit, but nobody was going to beat Kenny Rogers that night. The 2-1. Monroe pops it up, out of play, 2-2. The Cardinals getting Weaver on July 5th from the Angels for a minor league outfielder named Terry Evans. Jared Weaver, Jeff's younger brother, was 11-2 for the Angels, and one of the reasons why the Angels cut Jeff loose. Two out.
A slider pleases his younger brother.
Detroit needs a base runner here in the 8th inning to bring up Ordonez. They trail by 2. Just trying to find any way he can to break this string by Weaver and give Ordonez a chance. Maglio, the on-deck hitter, is 2 out of 18 with no RBIs in this World Series. That from Guillen, he was taking a strike.
Taking all the way.
That'll get out of play. 2-2. Rip by Carlos Guillen. Came into tonight's game with a career .368 average during postseason play. He's 0 for 3 against Weaver.
line.
Double switches, Zumaya takes over, and Molina hits it in the air to left center field. Granderson back with room, 1 out. Molina made a bid for his 4th hit of the night. Jeff Weaver got through 8. And the Cardinals hoping that it ends tonight. Jeff Weaver did all he could. He will give way to Wainwright. He wants one more from big brother Jeff. But it looks like Wainwright will take over. And Weaver, the game of his life. 8 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned. 4 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts as Zumaya is on here in the bottom of the 8th. Taguchi a hit and a run scored tonight. One ball, 1 strike. Scott Spezio has come into the on-deck circle. He'll bat for Weaver. Breaking ball from Zumaya, a good one. 1-2. This Tigers team in the World Series has scored 11 runs and committed 8 errors. And that combination won't beat anybody. 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Taguchi. 2 out.
Seemed like every error was damaging to the Tigers' cause. None were erased by good defensive play. And that hand given for Jeff Weaver and the job he has done tonight.
And for the heroics during the LCS by Spezio.
Yeah.
They've had the big hit in game 2 to help the Cardinals get out of Shea Stadium with a split. Before coming here, winning 2 out of 3, and then winning in game 7 over the Mets. Spezio goes after the first pitch, pops it up. Casey is there, now drifting, and he makes the play to end the 8th. Who's coming up for Detroit as they face elimination? It'll be Ordonez, Casey, and Ivan Rodriguez against Adam Wainwright. 9th inning, game 5. In to try and end the World Series. Skips the first one in there to Maglio Ordonez. All Detroit needs is a base runner to have a chance. 4-2 Cardinals, top of the 9th inning. Ordonez, Casey, and Rodriguez, the middle 3 for the Tigers. 2-0.
Detroit has 3 outs for 2 runs.
Wainwright got the win last night.
Once again, Detroit has only scored 2 runs in an inning 3 times in this World Series.
Tony La Russa, the Cardinal manager, is managing in his 5th World Series. He's won it once back in 1989 with Oakland. He has never had more to do within a season down the stretch, and he has never done a better job of managing a team.
I couldn't agree with that more.
Second baseman Belliard trying to recover. One away.
That was a fine play by Belliard. The ball off the glove, I believe, of Wainwright. Slowed it. Belliard charging to get Ordonez.
What a play by Belliard as the defense saved for 2 plays in right field by Duncan tonight has shined for the Cardinals. You think of the catch by Weaver. You think of that play by Pujols and Weaver to start the 7th inning. Now off Wainwright's glove to Belliard. 1 out. Here's Casey. The Tigers' hottest hitter. Strike 1. Who took over as the closer for Jason Isringhausen in September as La Russa remade the bullpen. 0-2. Hit the glove, ball 1. Wainwright would go through stretches in the minor leagues after the Cardinals picked him up following the 2003 season where he would be unhittable and then really struggle. He was quoted as saying in the minor leagues he had to work on his mental strength to stay sharp every time out. Now he's a big league closer and looking for the final outs of the 2006 World Series. 2-2 on Casey.
This might be the last game that he's asked to close. He may be a starter next year.
Count. Again, the Tigers need 1 guy to reach to have a chance. Ivan Rodriguez on deck. Right field, well hit. Taguchi on the run, will not get there. It's off the wall. Sean Casey red hot, and he digs for second. He's content with a 1-out double, and the Tigers have a chance thanks to their hottest hitter, Sean Casey, with a 1-out double here in the 9th.
2 doubles, a home run, a 2-run shot to account for the only Tiger runs. What an at-bat by Casey, who is not a fast runner.
Casey will be lifted for a pinch runner. Greeted in the dugout after back-to-back sensational nights swinging the bat. 3 hits last night, 3 hits tonight. And Ramon Santiago takes over as the runner out at second base.
If Santiago represented the tying run, I could understand that move. But if the Tigers tie this game and Casey's spot comes up again, Jim Leland may be sorry he pinch ran for him here. This run's the 3rd run, not the 4th.
Rodriguez 0 for 3 tonight, 3 out of 18 in this World Series. Ball 1. Last home run Pudge Rodriguez hit was in the ALCS Game 1 against the A's. Hit 13 during the regular season. Tying run at the plate. Two 2-0 from Adam Wainwright. Tigers trying to spoil it here in St. Louis and get the series back to Detroit. Check swing. Wainwright knocks it down. Makes the play at first. 2 out.
One thing Wainwright did after jamming Rodriguez, the ball off his glove, he took his time to get Rodriguez.
Now Polanco, who is 0 for 17. The MVP of the American League Championship Series. Trying to get his first hit. Hit 4 home runs during the regular season. Has not gone deep in the postseason. He will take anything. A bleeder, a flare. Wainwright trying to end the World Series right now. Strike 1. Ball 1. Deck is Inge, who hit 27 home runs during the regular season.
Awfully big hole between Pujols and the line for a guy who hits the ball to right field a lot.
Popped up behind the plate, out of play, strike 2. Low 2-2, and Polanco and the Tigers were at the mercy of the home plate umpire, John Hirschbeck. It was low, and Polanco was frozen at the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Squirts away, Santiago over to third, and the count's now 3-2 on Polanco. Should be a wild pitch on Wainwright, and it is. Inge on deck. Outside, ball 4, and it's 2 on, 2 out, and Inge coming up. And now Dave Duncan will go out and talk to his rookie closer as the Tigers have the tying runs on. And a guy at the plate who last night against Wainwright doubled into deep right center field for an RBI.
By pinch running Ramon Santiago for the next to last run, you don't have him to pinch run for Placido Polanco right now, who represents the tying run.
Game for Brandon Inge. He's been all over the place and right in the middle of all the action for Detroit. He's had a great season. His power and production has increased year by year. And now he stands at the plate and with one swing could turn this game around.
27 home runs on the year. He doubled off Wainwright in last night's game. Molina faking to first base and Albert Pujols giving him the calm sign. Don't be throwing down here foolishly and throwing a ball into right field as Todd Jones, the stopper, warms for the Tigers.
Inge at the plate for the Tigers. Strike 2. Last night Inge hit a fastball. He hasn't seen one in this at bat yet. First time since 1982, St. Louis has a World Series winner.